Good afternoon, guys. It's Working, bringing you another quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're looking at the monthly chart here on starting off with Bitstamp, guys. And I wanted to start off with the monthly chart here just to emphasize, because I think sometimes I sound a little bit more bearish than I am. Overall, guys, I fully acknowledge that we are in this is a very bullish move that we've seen here, guys. I pointed this out yesterday, but again, sometimes I don't think I emphasize this. We have, this very, very nice rounding, just textbook rounding bottom here, guys. Extremely bullish. Of course, looking at the monthly chart, guys, zooming in here, looking at the last 3 months here, guys, this is, obviously just there's no other way to look at it. This is just an extremely bullish looking monthly chart here. And of course, we're coming up and we're retesting this area, this very, very critical area that I pointed out before, guys, that is kind of this no man's land that must get broken above if this thing is going to continue. It's extremely important to get above this if the bulls are going to be able to continue this, guys. This is that, if I just go swing high, swing low here, as I pointed out, countless times, this is that golden pocket that's got to get decisively broken above. Now, we've had a wick here just peaking above, but we've got to get a decisive break above this golden pocket. Until that happens, guys, this is just, we're still tamed here. Bitcoin, the bulls are still still very much in competition with the bears, and the bears are still very much alive. That being said, guys, there's no question, as I said, this is looking at the monthly, even looking at our indicators here, we can see that the histogram, the monthly MACD, I'll just go ahead and bring it up here. Monthly MACD, we can see that the signal line and the MACD line are starting to flatten out. We're starting to get a consistent uptick here on our histogram. Now, of course, that can come back down, but right now it's looking, it looks positive. It looks bullish. Looking at the monthly RSI, we can see that the monthly RSI, I have this little area here blocked off for a reason, right around that 53 area, guys. That's been a very relevant zone in the past, and of course, when we broke down, that ushered in a bull market, or excuse me, a little bit of a bear market here. And when we broke back above that 53 on the monthly, that of course ushered in a very, very nice bull market to all-time highs here. It came up, textbook coming back down, retesting what was resistance, acting as support, and then just taking back off. And we can see, of course, the opposite is also true. Coming to the downside, guys, came back down, tested that 53, back up above, and then of course broke back down. So very bearish. So we're coming back up, looking like we're wanting on the monthly to retest that 53 area. And of course, if we can break above that, an extremely, extremely bullish sign. Zooming in on the weekly, that all being said, we're certainly not out of the woods. Of course, I said we've got this critical area that we've got to get above, and we had, not just, even though the weekly chart was extended, this little bit of a pullback was certainly expected here, guys. We have this doji candle here, kind of a spinning top, bearish spinning top, possibly a doji. It's kind of a mixture of the two, and that really signals the possibility of a reversal, the possible that a temporary reversal, and saying that we may come back down and retest some of these lows again. Zooming in on the daily, we can see, as I said, pointed out yesterday, we've got a nice little area of pocket of possible support at 4,500 and little areas of support all the way down to that 4,000. And I still, as I said yesterday, have buys laddered in between 4,500, very light at 4,500, much heavier down towards the $4,000 area, expecting a bounce at one of these levels of possible support. We'll have to wait and see. But zooming in here on the daily, just to kind of dissect this little microstructure, I told you yesterday, price was down here. I told you yesterday that this looked like the makings of a possible ascending triangle. And of course, we had a nice little bounce off that zone, which is just not validating, not yet validating, but definitely giving more credibility to this possibility here of this being an ascending triangle. Now, it would suggest we may come up here further, and if we get a rejection right around 53.50, where we've been rejected before here, rejected here, rejected here, rejected here, rejected here, we broke through it once by a wick, but the bears immediately pushed it right back down. Of course, the body was again right around that 53.50 area. So if we come back up, this area, if you're looking for a quick quick day or scalp trade, this is where I'd be looking to short, right around 53.50, and I'd be targeting the top of this ascending support line, which if we were to head up right now, that'd be somewhere around 5,100, 55,000, $55,100, somewhere around there, guys, for a very quick scalp trade. But I'd get in and I'd get out, guys. We're not looking at, and I think we're going to be able to possibly trade this range for some time. This is a very strong resistance area, in my opinion. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out, but this is certainly looking like a very strong resistance. And of course, the major area that we've got to get above the top of this order structure back here at 5,600. I told you before, if we can break 5,600 and then come back down for the retest, so not by a wick, but if we get a decisive break above 5,600, in other words, a daily candle opening and closing, not just opening, not just closing, but opening and closing above 5,600, that's when I'm going to start to get extremely, extremely bullish. Until then, guys, I do think that any attempt to break up here, guys, will very likely get slapped right back down. Pardon me. Well, I say likely, guys. When I say likely, I just mean this is a very logical area to short, and believe me, the market knows that. Especially the bigger players in the market know this is a decent area to short, and you can bet that they're looking to do just that anywhere in this area right here. They're looking to short anywhere in this area right here. Now, they'll have a very tight stop loss, knowing if the lid gets blown off this, we could quickly come up here to this area between 58 and 6,000. Of course, 6,000 is going to be the next area that a lot of people are going to short. And in the short term, I'm not convinced that we may not see a nice little tick up. Now, I think that we're going to trade this range. Possibly, of course, this could all fall apart tomorrow, but in my opinion, there's a good chance I think we're going to end up trading this range right here. I can see something like this, and then I think it's going to be decision time where we're going to break up or break down. And right now, guys, I truly can see a scenario where we break up. If I look at pardon me, if we just look at the MACD here, guys, we can see very, very clear point to point. Obviously, price created a higher low. We come back here, look at the exact same point on the histogram here on our MACD. This is on the daily chart. Obviously, price created a lower low. This is in an obvious uptrend. We're looking at the bottom. That's hidden divergence. In this case, that's hidden bullish divergence. So just looking at this alone, guys, this absolutely does suggest that price in the short term here is may have one more kick up here. Now, overall, I absolutely think that we're going to have a larger correction, a 20-25%, possibly correction here. I do think that there's a good chance we're going to come back down and retest these areas of support, somewhere, as I said, somewhere in here. I just think probability-wise that's going to happen. In fact, if I come over here and I use this as my pivot low, we go pivot high. We can see that right now we're bouncing right off the 382. If we were to bounce off there and then take off, man, that would be bullish. I don't think that's going to happen. Probability-wise, we're going to come back down and we're going to test somewhere in this area right here. And of course, at least this area here between the 50 and the 618 fib, or that golden pocket, wicking down to that golden pocket. So I'm waiting for that larger pullback before I'm going to go in heavy. In the meantime, very quick scalp or day trades here, trading this range here, possibly looking if price does end up breaking up here decisively, guys, looking at, or excuse me, not decisively, but if we break up here by a wick, looking at shorting this area, as I said, right here, guys, and I'd be targeting this area right here for my short, guys. I'd be targeting right around 5,000, 4,900. Bulls have been able to defend 5,000 fairly strong right now, guys. It's been very, very impressive. So we'll have to wait, and if that continues to hold, guys, again, very, very impressive. But I don't think it's going to. I do think we're going to go sub 5,000, even though we might have one more kick up. I do think we're going to come back down for a sub 5,000 to a sub 5,000 level somewhere here in the next month or so. So what would be my best guess? And again, this is just pure speculation on my part, but just looking at this, I would not be surprised to see something like this. As I said, trading this range, and then at this point, we complete that bullish divergence by a break up here. Of course, it's not going to come straight up like this, but something like this, we get a break up here, and I think this is where you're going to get a break up, hit that resistance, and then we're going to be coming right back down here and testing somewhere in this area, possibly all the way down to this area here at 43.70 to 42.50. I think in my opinion, that's the most likely scenario. Now, it could come up higher. We could even wick up here, touch 5,800. That's a possibility, but I do think that it's going to end up breaking down to these levels at some point here in the future. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap Bitcoin there. Looking at EOS. EOS, and this is going to be very, very quick, guys. EOS is kind of having a similar pattern to Bitcoin. We're looking at the daily chart here. EOS is kind of coming into this wedge pattern. Sorry, guys, this cold is just killing me. Coming into this wedge pattern here, looking like we may get some kind of a breakout here in the next couple days, next 2 to 3 days. Let me get a drink of water real quick, guys. Now, zooming all the way out here on the weekly chart, we can see that EOS is really hitting an area of strong resistance. In fact, looking at the weekly, guys, this whole area right here, we can see is a very, very strong demand zone. In other words, there are very likely a lot of sell orders here. How do we know that? Well, we can see when price broke down here, what happened? As it tried to break back up, we got a lot of wicks. Break back up again, another wick. Break back up again, another wick. And then the bodies got lower, 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 another wick, tried to break up. And then, of course, we had a massive breakdown. So those wicks are all showing you, as the bulls tried to push it up, there were a lot of sell orders here, a lot of bears ready to push it right back down. And we never had a body, the body got lower, 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 lower until we finally broke down. So what does that tell you? That tells you there's a lot of sell orders right here. In case you doubted that, we came all the way down, came all the way back up. By the way, a very, very bullish rounding bottom, just like on Bitcoin, very bullish looking weekly chart here, but also just like Bitcoin, the weekly chart is extended. And we're having kind of the spinning top here on last week's chart. This week, getting a little bit more to the downside here. And of course, we can see we're approaching, in case you doubted there was a lot of sell orders right here, we can see we got a long wick, long wick, long wick. And every time the bulls have tried to push up, the bears have tried to push it right back down, validating this very strong demand zone, the sell orders that we have right up here in EOS. So bottom line is, guys, this is, I do think, again, unless you're dollar cost averaging in for the long haul, it's a very risky trade to try to buy EOS right now. I would wait. Probability-wise, we're going to get a bit of a pullback. How far are we going to pull back? Well, if I kind of look down here, guys, I look at this as my possible swing low. We go swing high. The pullback is going to become just probability somewhere between the 50 and the 618, which will be right here, somewhere between somewhere around 450 all the way down to probably 430-ish, somewhere around there, guys. Now, does it have to retrace that far? Absolutely not, man. If this is the bull run that everyone's waiting for, this thing, the lid could get blown off this thing at any moment. But until that does happen, guys, we have to trade on probability. We have to look at the trends. We have to know, we have to look at the candles and see what they're telling us. And right now, we haven't seen a major pullback. And we are looking, if we come back in here to the daily, guys, we are seeing the price get consolidated, series of lower highs, or excuse me, a series of lower highs, higher lows, and eventually that gets squeezed into an apex here, and you get a breakout in one direction or another. Now, evidence for a break up, if we come over here and we look at our low, obviously to our high, we've created a series of obviously higher lows here, just looking at this. If we come over here and we look at the daily MACD, look at the exact same point, we can see that the histogram just ticked down, really kind of looking like a double bottom. Really, it's actually slightly lower than this bottom here. So we've created on the histogram here, on the daily histogram, we've created a lower low. That's clearly divergence either way. This is clear divergence. In this case, we were looking at an uptrend. We're looking at the bottom, so that's hidden divergence. And in this case, hidden bullish divergence, again, suggesting a possible breakup. Now, just like Bitcoin, I can certainly see a scenario. Sorry about that, guys. I can certainly see a scenario where we have one more kick up here. We hit this this very strong area of demand zone, area of resistance. Hit this area, break up, and then we get another breakdown to come back down and find support somewhere around that $4.50 range that I was just discussing. Does that have to happen? Does that have to happen? Absolutely not. But I do think, in my opinion, I do think that's the most probable scenario, at least coming down and retesting the $5 range. I really think, especially if we come over here and we look at this area of right here, That's right at 5,000. We can see that this was a very strong demand zone for quite some time until price just completely fell down here. Now coming back up here, we were able to break through it fairly substantially, and then it started acting as support. So at least coming down and retesting $5, in my opinion, I think is a real possibility. And what we could get is a breakdown, a possible bear trap, trapping people into shorts and then taking right back off. I really can see a few scenarios here. Overall, there's no question this is looking very, very bullish overall. But in the short term, I can definitely see price coming back down and retesting that $5 to 450 area. Where are my buy orders stacked? My buy orders are stacked right there. Very lightly at $5. Very heavy down here at 450 all the way down to 427 as I have marked here on the chart. I've got a tight stop loss below that, knowing that if that breaks down, we could find ourselves very quickly down here at 350. When will I start to get? When will I believe that that we're just heading up? When will I believe that that $5 is no longer a possibility? Well, it's always going to be a possibility. Is no longer a probability. When we break above $6, when we break above this demand zone here, come back down for the retest, which I believe $6 would be a good. That's a good psychological area. Come back down for the retest, and $6 starts acting as support. And we get past all this order structure right here, if and when that does happen, and this area starts acting as support, that's when I believe that's when I think you're going to go long and go heavy, because I think that's going to be the area on that retest of that $6, guys. That's going to be where you want to go in heavy. That's going to be the sign that the bull run has begun, in my opinion. Of course, nothing is a certainty, but again, probability wise, a retesting of $6 and that being support, that's when you're going to know that the bottom is certainly in. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there, guys. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Until next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Working, signing out.